You might have seen parents often stress a lot about picking the best school for their kids. But what if, school choice isn't the biggest factor in a child's success? In the book Freakonomics, the data points to something surprising. Family background and not the school itself might be the stronger predictor of how well a child does in life. Let's unpack that with some real world examples. First, there's the famous Abecedarian project. Researchers provided intensive, high quality early education to disadvantaged kids, small class sizes, individual attention, top tier resources. At first, these kids showed a big bump in IQ scores, but over time, that IQ edge faded. However, something else lasted, and it was way more important. These kids were more likely to finish college, get better jobs, and break cycles of poverty, not just because of the early education itself, but because that project shifted their environment, gave them opportunity, and set new expectations early on. The real win wasn't a permanent IQ boost, it was changing life trajectories. Next, let's look at siblings. Same parents, different schools. You'd think if one kid went to a better school, they'd dramatically outperform their sibling who didn't, right? But when economists studied these families, the differences in life outcomes were surprisingly small. Turns out what mattered more were things like birth order, firstborns often get more parental attention, how much time parents invested in each child, individual choices and personalities. In other words, family dynamics were driving a lot of the results, not just school ranking. Here's a hypothetical to make it even clearer. Imagine a family moves from an elite, high ranking school district to a pretty average one. You might expect the kid who transfers to crash academically, right? But if that child's home life stays strong, if the parents stay involved, reading together, encouraging curiosity, the child's grades often barely dip, if at all, because daily habits, mindsets, and home culture act like a safety net, cushioning the drop in external school quality. And flip the situation. A kid from a highly educated, supportive family attends a school that's just okay by rankings, but every night there are books, discussions, critical thinking at home. Over time, this kid could easily outperform someone attending a top rated school but lacking a strong home environment. That's the hidden truth. Kids don't just bring their backpacks to school, they bring their home environment too, and it weighs heavily in their success. Now, this isn't to say schools don't matter. If a school is dangerous, underfunded, or totally chaotic, of course it will hurt a child's chances. But between two decent schools, the marginal difference often matters less than we think. The bigger investment, the one with compounding returns, is in building strong, enriching family environments, reading with kids, talking about ideas, encouraging curiosity, supporting dreams, celebrating learning, not just grades. This flips the narrative most of us have been sold. Instead of obsessing over test scores, district rankings, and fancy facilities, maybe we should be putting just as much energy into family support, parental involvement, and building a culture of learning at home. So here's the big question. Does this change how you think about education? Is it time we rethink what really shapes a child's success?